The Evolution of a Bad Boy, written by Susanna Thompson, narrated by Sarah Sampino. Chapter 16. Celeste didn't cry. She had known all along that this thing with Dylan wouldn't last, yet she had slept with him anyway, and she wasn't sure why. Was it a form of rebellion against her routine, sedate life? Maybe she was worried that she would never feel such intense passion for anyone ever again. She certainly had never wanted to have sex before she met Dylan. That was what was troubling her the most about this. Why hadn't she felt desire for Andrew when she'd gone out with him for months? Shouldn't you get closer to someone the longer you were with them? Celeste felt like she wasn't sure of her identity anymore, because she had never thought she'd do something like this. At least if she regretted it, she'd be able to call it a mistake and move on. But she didn't regret it. She had wanted her first time to be with Dylan. The same question nagged at her. Why? There seemed to be no answer forthcoming, so she decided not to dwell on it. It was over anyway, and she needed to get back to her normal life and leave this madness behind. Since Dylan would no longer be trying to seduce her, it would be easier to put him out of her mind. Once the battle of the bands was over, she could go back to ignoring his presence at school. They didn't hang out with the same people, and the time they had spent together would begin to fade from their thoughts. She would still be reminded of him while Lily was dating Alex, but her friend wasn't likely to mention Dylan all that much. She would naturally talk about her boyfriend more than his friends. Celeste called both Lily and Olivia on Sunday to tell them that she and Dylan had broken up. She said it was a mutual decision, and that they both realized it wasn't going to work out between them. Lily was saddened by the news, and said that she hoped they would get back together. Olivia asked her if anything had happened to bring this on. Celeste wasn't about to reveal that she had already slept with Dylan, so she said it was just clear to both of them that the relationship had run its course. Dylan was more honest when he told Jenna about his breakup with Celeste.
"I fucked up."
"You sure did," she agreed. "So, what are you going to do about it?"
"Nothing. I can't change what happened," he said.
"Sure you can," she reasoned. "Go ask her to get back together with you."
"That's not what I was talking about. I can't get into the details, but I made a mistake and—"
Jenna cut him off impatiently. "Breaking up with Celeste was a mistake, but you'll make an even bigger mistake if you don't get back together with her."
"It's not going to work. She doesn't belong with me," he said.
"It was working," Jenna insisted. "You guys were really into each other. Everybody could see it, so don't try to deny it. You're just freaking because you stepped out of your comfort zone."
"My comfort zone?"
Dylan questioned. She nodded. "Yeah. You're used to staying detached, but you care about Celeste. It's making you run scared."
"I'm not scared, and Celeste isn't any more important to me than anyone else."
"Really?" Jenna asked. "Then why are you so upset?" He wasn't sure why he was still bothered by the whole thing. It had been a huge shock to discover that she had been a virgin. Dylan couldn't wrap his mind around the fact that she had chosen to lose her virginity to him. Celeste had chosen him. He didn't know how to feel about that, but he couldn't stop thinking about it. There was no point in trying to get back together with her. He hated the way things ended between them, but she wasn't the kind of girl who would be satisfied with a casual relationship. She would eventually expect more from him, so it was better to leave her alone. Besides, she probably hated him now anyway, after how insensitive he had been to her after they had sex. He had ruined her first time, and he wished that he could make it up to her somehow. Dylan decided that he had to focus on something else, so he turned to his music to clear his head. Seeing Celeste at school was unavoidable, and he thought that he was prepared for it. She was walking down the hall, and they locked eyes for a long moment, before she looked away to ignore him as they passed by each other. Dylan had expected the cold shoulder, but it left him yearning for her formerly warm demeanor toward him. He missed the way her eyes would light up when she saw him, and the slow smile that would spread over her face. That special smile had been just for him. Wait, what was he thinking? Yeah, he felt bad about the way he had handled things with Celeste, but he wasn't pining after her. Everyone seemed to know about their breakup by lunchtime, because Stephanie hurried to catch up with him before he got to the cafeteria. I heard you broke up with your girlfriend.
She broke up with me.
He didn't know what compelled him to say that. Whatever. Stephanie wasn't interested in the details of the breakup. Now that you're free, how about we skip classes the rest of the day while my parents are at work? She stepped closer to him and slid her hand beneath his t-shirt to play with the waistband of his jeans.
I can't get in trouble right now. It could cost us our place in the Battle of the Bands.
He had heard of no such rule, but she probably didn't know that. She looked at him blankly. You're going to be in the Battle of the Bands? When did you get in a band? He remembered now that he hadn't shared this part of his life with any of his women. Only Celeste knew about his music.
We're called Addicted,
he said, failing to answer her question. That's so cool. I can't wait to see the show now. She gave him a sultry smile. Maybe I can come over this weekend when your mom's at work.
Maybe,
he said.
We have to practice a lot because the show's only 2 weeks away.
They did have to practice, but he could always make time for sex. He always had before, but now he wasn't in any hurry to get back to his women. It had only been 2 days since he had had sex with Celeste, so he supposed that was why he wasn't tempted by Stephanie's offer. Things would get back to normal soon enough. He went home and wrote a new song instead of doing his homework. Dylan had never written a ballad before, but he knew that it would set them apart from the rest of the bands in the competition. They tended to stick to hard-rocking songs that made them look cool. He called Jenna and told her he was emailing the lyrics to her. She was quiet for so long that he thought he had lost the connection.
Jenna, did you get them?
Yeah, she said. Have you told her how you feel?
It's just a song to help us win the competition. It's not about anyone. Anyway, do you think you can write the music in time for us to learn it for the show?
Dylan asked. There was more silence. Yeah, I'll have it ready by tomorrow. We should put in some extra practice before the show. She wasn't acting like Jenna, and he didn't like it. She wasn't messing with him or arguing with him. He wasn't used to this civil, somber Jenna.
Yeah, we'll practice, but you need to lighten up.
You need to get your head out of your ass. See you tomorrow. She had hung up on him. Dylan smiled at her rude statement. Now that was the Jenna he knew. She was wrong, though, about how much she was reading into the song. Sure, it had been inspired by what happened with Celeste, but that was just the starting point. It was like those movies that claimed to be based on a true story, and then they would turn out to have exaggerated the truth to make the story more interesting. That was the same thing he had done with the song. A ballad needed lots of emotion to be powerful, so he had added in the stuff about heartbreak. It wasn't nearly that serious in truth. Yeah, he felt kind of let down about the whole thing, but he wasn't heartbroken. He wondered how Celeste was handling things. She seemed to be doing just fine the next day when he saw her laugh at something the guy standing beside her had said. Why was this guy hanging out by her locker anyway? He was one of those clean-cut types, like her ex-boyfriend had been. Dylan saw him leaning closer to say something else, and his stomach clenched when Celeste lowered her eyes shyly. Where the hell was Melissa? Why wasn't she interrupting them the way she was always interrupting when Dylan was talking to Celeste? He wished that he could hear what she said to the guy in response. The bell rang, and the guy said something in parting before walking away. Celeste then spotted Dylan watching her and turned her back to him as she finished getting her books out of her locker. His legs were moving before he even realized his intent.
What did he say to you?
Celeste turned to look at him coldly. That's none of your business. Frustration made his temper flare.
So, what now? You're going to jump from my bed to his?
Anger flashed in her blue eyes. Isn't that what you do? Jump from bed to bed?
I haven't been with anyone since I got together with you.
His declaration did nothing to soften her attitude. Sorry you had to make such a terrible sacrifice. Well, we're not together anymore, so there's nothing stopping you now. Or me, she added, twisting the knife in his gut. Excuse me, I have to get to class. What the hell happened to you? Jenna asked when she saw his foul expression at lunch.
Nothing,
he snapped.
Did you finish the music?
Yeah, I gave it to the guys to look it over, she said while she studied him. Did you talk to Celeste?
Don't ever fucking mention her name to me again!
Jenna stared speechlessly at him after his outburst. Dylan noticed the stares of the other people around them, too. His eyes scanned the cafeteria until they landed on Celeste, who was also watching him. It was too much, and he turned away and stalked out of the cafeteria. Everything had been so different only a month ago. Flirting with Celeste had been fun and easy. He had succeeded in his goal to seduce her, but the end result had left him unsatisfied. It should have been over, but he couldn't seem to let it go.